So today we have Ella Schaefer. She is an author here in the Niceville area. She's coming out with a new book. Ella, tell us a little bit about the timeline for the book and about the book itself.
Yeah, so the book is called The Christmas Pic. It's a queer rom-com, and we are releasing to pre-readers on the 1st of November and coming out for everyone else the 15th of November. We are currently fundraising on Indiegogo. We have, I think, 6 days left, and we're so close to our goal. It's been amazing. Yeah.
What made you decide that you needed to write a book?
So, interesting story. I am writing this with my partner, my creative partner, Rena Sopone-White, and she and I met developing rom-coms for television. And we had this script that I had written years ago in order to like kind of establish myself in this genre and in screenwriting. And working together, we realized we had so much in common, and we had a lot of the same passions in terms of like inclusivity and equality and all of that good stuff. And we kept coming up against feedback that was specifically started as your female lead is too unlikable. And, you know, not to toot our own horns, but we're good writers, and we know that a lead in a movie or in a book or in any kind of story needs to have an arc from beginning to end, and they need to change. And the more, they have the ability to change over the story, then the better story it's going to be. And we don't think that female characters have to be quote unquote likable to be a good character in a good story. And so that kind of set us off on this adventure of, well, if no one else is going to let us make this, then we're going to make it on our own. And so it started as a script and is now a book.
And so tell us a little bit about the book itself. What's the storyline? What's the plot?
So The Christmas Pic is about a big time CEO of like an Instagram-esque company. Her name is Ava, and she's kind of a hard ass, like snarky, a woman in tech. She's got to like play with all the boys. And so she starts this Christmas card AI generator for people like her who maybe have a little bad experience with the Christmas holidays, aren't super into Christmas. And it has been getting a lot of good feedback, but also a lot of really bad feedback from people like Joe, who grew up in our fictionalized town of Harmony Springs, Michigan, which is like a queer haven that we really wish just, existed. But they're not only a queer town, but they're like a Christmas loving town, because we feel like, a lot of people in the queer community struggle with the holidays sometimes just because of family and not feeling accepted. So we really wanted to create this like gay Christmas paradise. And so anyway, Joe calls into a radio show that Ava is on one day to give her a piece of her mind. Joe owns a photo truck, so she goes around and takes Christmas cards for her living, and she's saying that what Ava's doing is taking the humanity out of the process. And they get into a huge fight on air, and it ends up that Ava is forced to go to this small town to save Joe's business or be kicked out of her company by her board. And that kind of starts their enemies at first to then, a little bit of maybe they're going to fall in love. Who knows?
So I think what's interesting about the plot, at least from the straight white guy, is that I feel like so much of the queer literature and creative stuff that I come in contact with is like queer person struggles against like straight community, right? And it feels like in this, it's kind of like the straights are there. But like it's very much enveloped on the LGBTQ community itself, and doesn't really feel like there's a fight involved. It's almost like within itself. Does that make sense? Like the conflict is within
Absolutely.
the community itself.
And it's within our main character, Ava. She is not out. She has been working so hard her entire life to accomplish this goal that she didn't take the time to really discover herself, which is something that I personally deeply relate to, especially coming from an area like Niceville. You know, it's gotten better over the past several years, but still there's, you know, kind of an expectation and just we're I was raised in an area where it's not as normal to just be gay or queer or anything like that. So it kind of took me going to Los Angeles for a 10-year period and like really learning a lot, not only about myself, but about the queer community and like what it means to be queer. And finally turning 30 and being like, oh, okay, now I'm finally getting a grasp of what all of this means. And like it's not so black and white, cut and dry, like, and that's kind of the development that Ava goes through with her own sexuality and like figuring out I haven't taken this time to really get to know who I am. And it's taken this really fun queer community to bring it out.
What do you hope people get out of this book? I mean, besides like, I'm assuming you want them to enjoy the book, but like what kind of themes or demonstrable effects do you want this book to have on people?
Yeah, you know, I think with our company is called Smoke Show Entertainment, and it's the word smoke show can be used in some objectifying contexts, right? Like we all know that, but we chose it as our company name because we want to reclaim it in a positive and empowering way. And we want to show how queer women and queer love can be represented in like a really just like, it's not a big deal. It's just, these people need stories too. And that's what we want to have as a company. Like we just want to make exciting fun is like one of our biggest words, because there's not a lot of fun out there right now. Like you turn on the news, and I know in Florida especially, we've gotten really lucky in Niceville, but so much destruction and so much war worldwide, and we really just were inspired by Brat Summer. We want to make that, but in the film and entertainment community, we don't think that's really there right now, and it's a big hole in the marketplace that we are hoping to fill.
So whether they're queer or not, what advice would you have for people that want to write?
Keep going. Just keep going. It is truly the long game. I spent 10 years living in LA, and it took me that long to really figure out my voice and what I wanted to say. And it's just so much about continuing to do what you want to do and do what you love and never stop. It's truly about who can keep moving forward and who gives up. It's not easy, but it's really worth it once you get to the point like this where I've found so much support from friends and family. This was honestly like kind of my coming out, just in a video about a book that I'm writing, you know? And I think not a lot of people noticed either. And I think it should be that way. Like people shouldn't have to come out. Straight people don't have to come out and say who they are attracted to and who they want to sleep with. Like it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And I think at the end of the day, like that's what I want people to take from this book. And that's what I hope other writers can learn, is just be who you are and don't stop.
All right. Well, Ellis Schaefer, thank you so much for your time. And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.